Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You float too! You float too! You're too!
Everybody here dies by dawn. Dead by dawn!
Welcome to the Spookshow. Hello and welcome to another edition of the All-American Spookshow podcast. I'm Josh and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Yo.
Tiana.
Hey.
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
Once again, we've started off our New Year's tradition by saying that Will is not with us this week. He couldn't join us, but hopefully he'll be here next week. And I think we've got another doozy lined up next week. Here's the tease. You want to go to the end of the episode for what we're going to watch, but it's going to be the next cannon fodder. And I think we've got a nice one lined up. But we'll tease some more of that towards the end. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we're going to be watching this week. Now, Tiana, this was your choice. This is your first choice in the rotation. So what did you pick for us to watch this week?
I picked St. Maud.
An interesting choice. I'll say that. I'm completely blanking. I should have pulled my notes up before I even started talking about it. This came out in 2019, I believe, right? But then it didn't.
It came out in 2019, but it got held off because of COVID.
Yeah, that's what it was. It got delayed for like a couple of years.
Until 2021.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of that. I pulled some notes up on that. I just didn't have them up like right here at the beginning, but we'll get into some of that for sure here in just a few minutes. But before we dive into that, we want to encourage you to go check out aaspookshow.com. We call that the center of the Spook Show universe. From there, you can go to our past podcast archives. They're all lined up there for you, nice and easy. You can listen to any one you want. You can also go to our YouTube channel from there, where we have every month Video Vortex, Hammer Horror in Order, Grindhouse Gutter, lots of series going on over there. And of course, full podcast episodes get uploaded every week there on the YouTube channel, so you don't want to miss a thing. Also, patreon.com/aaspookshow. We want you to become a patron, where every month you get a video mini-sode, including the Library of the Professor, and of course, Crapster Piece Theater every month. We've got the newest episode coming up at the end of the month. That'll be on Friday, January 26th, around noon. They're on patreon.com/aaspookshow, so you don't want to miss a thing. So without any further build-up, let's go ahead and toss to the trailer for St. Maud.
Dear God, your presence graces the air, and soon everyone will see.
Hi, you Maud?
Yes, hi. It takes nothing special to mop up after the dying.
You're prettier than the last one.
But to save a soul, that's quite something. Bless Amanda's body, and bless her mind, which is shrouded in darkness.
When you pray, do you get a response?
Oh, it's like he's physically in me. It's how he guides me.
My little savior.
Hey, I thought that was you. What you up to?
I'm a private carer.
You're still nursing?
What?
They know what happened.
All the good girls go to hell, 'cause even God herself.
I just want to see you loosen up.
I've got more important things on my mind.
There's my little savior. Maud, he isn't real.
Nothing worthwhile comes easily.
All the good girls go to hell. I turn to ignore ya. Don't say I didn't warn ya.
You must be the loneliest girl I've ever seen.
I'm ready and open. I feel fuller of your love than ever before. I have a responsibility.
Oh, yes, of course.
This is life and death on another level. What if I'm getting it all wrong?
All the good girls go to hell.
Oh man, that trailer, man. That trailer was certainly much more exciting than the movie, but which we'll get to and all that. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to, as far as the movie wise, I just felt like I needed a little kind of a boost to kind of just get through it.
Well,
Yeah.
you've told me before you usually like to drink a lot of energy drinks and stuff, right?
Yeah. Usually, I usually drink about I don't know, like a few a week, not daily, but just enough to give me that little pep. I could have used one, this time, but yeah, the only really the only thing about those is that I'm up at like 3 or 4 the next morning. Makes it hard to sleep, and my next morning is basically ruined.
Well, usually I drink a couple of cups of coffee myself. Like, I usually drink one in the morning, one in the afternoon, but like it doesn't really usually have that long lasting effect on me. But
Yeah.
We did recently learn about Magic Mind, though. It's this, I
Yeah.
guess it's more of like a supplement kind of thing that you kind of drink with your coffee and your tea, whatever caffeine you drink, your energy drinks, whatever, right?
Yeah. I was looking at it, and it is kind of like a green color, which is not, that color green is not really, doesn't really look like the most appetizing thing. I was like, oh man, but if it's gonna help me replace the energy drinks, I'll give it a shot. So that's what I did. It's actually really good. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how good it did taste, because sometimes those things it's kind of iffy, whether they can be, what the effects could be. You lean into the natural ingredients and everything like that, but you're also like, it doesn't look like the greatest thing in the world. But this one, man, it really tasted good. Like, and I actually went to look up exactly what was in it because I was curious at that point. Like, all right, what kind of ingredients are we dealing with here? And it's got matcha, and that's probably, I would imagine that's where probably a lot of the color comes from, that matcha tea.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got ashwagandha in it, lion's mane mushrooms, and cordyceps mushrooms. So you got 2 different kinds of mushrooms going on there. So like, you got a lot of natural ingredients is the point.
Yeah, and matcha I've actually had separately along with ashwagandha. I take ashwagandha to because I have anxiety. So I certainly got the sort of less stress during the day, and that's something that the energy drinks can't do for me.
Yeah, and I think
if anything, they heighten it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Magic Mind's really trying to do here too, is not only like reduce your stress, your anxiety levels, and all that stuff, and that all leads to your also with the caffeine and everything, it gives you that little energy boost, and all those things come together to help your productivity, because that's really one of the main benefits of Magic Mind is the productivity, to kind of sharpen your focus, to get you through the day, and you become less dependent, right, on all those energy drinks and coffee and all that other stuff, like we said. So, I mean, after taking it after a few days, I felt like it did help me focus a little bit later in the day, especially. And I would, for that end of it, I would highly recommend it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it tastes really good, and the ashwagandha, I did realize the kind of lower stress levels, and I was able to sleep a little better compared to my energy drink experience. So yeah, I would definitely recommend anybody try it.
Well, if you're like us, then we highly recommend you go check them out at magicmind.com/JAN All American. That's right. We're hooking up with them to kind of give you a benefit. You'll get an extra 20% off when you order and you subscribe for 3 months at magicmind.com/JAN All American, and you use our code AllAmerican20. That gives you an extra 20% off for a total of 75% off. So, but that's only to the end of this month. You've got to the end of January to take advantage of this, and that's with our code AllAmerican20 at magicmind.com/JAN All American. So go check it out before it all goes away at the end of the month. I guess we can go ahead and before we hop into the background information that we dug up on this, Donnie, had you ever sit down and watch Saint Maud before this?
No, this is a first time watch for me.
Professor, what about you?
Well, I attempted to watch it one time before, but I think it was after, I don't know, it was after work or something. I didn't make it too far into it before I fell out. So, not to say, not to knock the movie or anything. I'm saying that happens fairly often when too tired from work and then try to watch a movie at the end of the night or something.
That's not. That's not the first time. That's not the first time you've ever told us that. I just get a vision of you like laying on the couch and then just sliding out on the floor. Just. Oh, if only I were there to be a fly on the wall in the smokehouse. When Tiana is sitting there, like actually wanting to watch something, and smoke just rolls out on the floor. Believe me, we've all been there though, man. Like you work late shifts and long shifts and stuff, man. Like sometimes you watch an admittedly slow movie like this one, boy, that's like a sleeping pill, man. It's like taking NyQuil, when you're trying to stay awake.
Yeah, that didn't help me. I mean, the fact that it is a slow burn of a movie doesn't help the time.
No. Well, the one good thing for sure is it does have a pretty tight runtime for this, and at least there's that, right? It's not like it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, drag it out.
Tiana, what about you? Had you seen this before?
Yes.
So you would say that goes without saying since you nominated it, but it's not always the case, right? Like sometimes we do nominate things that like I haven't seen it, so now I finally have an excuse to see it, kind of thing. So I had seen it before, and Smoke saw parts of it at least. Donnie has not seen it, and Tiana has seen it before. So that's kind of where we're all coming from with our angles here before we get into it. So some of the background stuff that I pulled up, though, this movie debuted, and this is the timeline that I was trying to get to off the top there. It debuted September 8th of 2019 at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it played the film festival circuit like pretty much the rest of 2019 and early into 2020. And somewhere in there, A24 had picked it up for distribution, and it was supposed to come out, I think, literally as COVID like went nuts, like around like March or April of 2020 was when it was supposed to come out. Then it got delayed, and then just went into delayed hell for quite some time until it was finally released, at least here in the U.S., limited, January 29th of 2021. So almost a year later from, when it was originally supposed to hit. And then I guess it kind of got a full release / video on demand. And it also debuted on Epix by February 12th of 2021. So it was, it already kind of had whatever run it was going to have on the screen, and was already available for streaming by February of 2021. This was produced by Film 4, BFI, which is the British Film Institute, and Escape Plan Productions, and it was distributed by Studio Canal in the UK and A24 here in the United States. If you've ever seen this movie, you would fully understand that it is rated R. Total runtime of 1 hour and 24 minutes, so nice and tight. Drama, horror, and mystery are the labels that IMDb placed on it. This movie was filmed in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, England, and in parts of North London for about 5 weeks, from November to December of 2018. And I never could find an exact budget number, but although I wouldn't think this had a very tall budget at all, probably less than $1 million, if I had to guess. But it only went on to a worldwide gross of $1.6 million. And honestly, most of that was in the UK. I think like over $1 million of that was in the UK. It didn't really do anything here at all in the United States. But it did go on to win 11 different awards, most notably the 2022 Fangoria Chainsaw Award for Best First Feature by Rose Glass. So we would have covered that, in the last couple of years. We've done the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards like pretty much live as they're going on. We talk about the results of that. So that would have been the ones that we were talking about back in 2022. This one got the Best First Feature Chainsaw Award that year. And of course, it was directed and written by Rose Glass. This, even to date, is her only feature film, and this was her debut feature film. But apparently she is going to have another feature film coming out this year at some point, and it's going to be called Love Lies Bleeding. And from what I could see of it, it looks pretty interesting. So we'll have to wait. We were just talking about last week some of our anticipated flicks of 2024. We might have to kind of add this one to the list. Love Lies Bleeding. If nothing else, maybe it'll be more exciting, or maybe it won't be as slow a burn. How about that? We'll go there for now. It was produced by Andrea Cornwell and Oliver Kastman. The director of photography was Ben Fordsman, and he would best be known for his work on Out of Darkness. It stars, there's some kind of odd names. I guess this is like some Irish, Scottish, British type names or something. I don't know, but like, it stars Morfydd Clark as Maud. I do love that her some of the titles that you may know her from. One of them was Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Now, I remember that book coming out, and then the movie came out, and then I never saw the movie. And I didn't hear really one good word about it. So, and that's probably been quite.
Hear about the movie coming out.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. She was also in Crawl, and the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. That Lord of the Rings series that came out, in 2022, I think it was, for Amazon. Jennifer Ellie, I think is how you say her name. Ehle. We'll go with that. As Amanda. She was in Zero Dark 30 and the RoboCop remake back in 2014, among a handful of other things. Really, this movie is kind of a one-person show for the most part.
Yeah.
It's mostly about Maud. The title is Saint Maud, but it's mostly her, Morfydd Clark giving the performance here with, dash in the character of Amanda, played by Jennifer Ellie, and then there's some, random supporters come in and out, but for the most part, this is a one-person show, right?
It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. Ice cream, candy, lemonade too. And there's a hot dog waiting for you.
The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. You know all the great food is stealing the show.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So I went over to audible.com and I typed in Saint Maud, and of course nothing at all came up. But I just typed in the word Saints to see what would pop up, and sure enough, plenty of results. Matter of fact, over 3,000 results came up. I'll just read a few off the top here. Saints. The story of the Church of Jesus Christ in the Latter Days, the Standard of Truth, 1815 to 1846. So, Donnie, that's some deep reading for you by the Church of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That one's almost 14 hours long. Donnie, that sounds like it's right up your alley, brother. No,
you never thought you needed that many Latter-day Saints. But 14 hours.
Well, here we are. We've got an Audible exclusive called The Lives of the Saints by Alban Butler. That one's over 15 hours long. And, here's another good one. The Life of St. Francis of Assisi by St. Bonaventure. Almost 7 hours long. So lots of good stuff there for you to look up on Audible. Like I said, over 3,000 results. If you just type in the word Saints, you'll get all you want.
Was there any books?
No, I don't think so. So to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook. All right, so I'm going to hop back over to IMDb and I'm going to click on plot summary to see how many different deep plot synopsis that we have. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here we go, Donnie. Yes. Here we go. We've got the short.
Relax. Just simmer down.
I just get worked up when I see one this big. Is what she said. We've got two. We've got at least two different ones. We've got the one sentence, and then we've got a fucking paragraph here. The sentence: a pious nurse becomes dangerously obsessed with saving the soul of her dying patient. And really, that one sentence, that pretty much explains what's going on in this movie. But we need more. And here we have it. There, but for the grace of God, goes Maud, a reclusive young nurse whose impressionable demeanor causes her to pursue a pious path of Christian devotion after an obscure trauma. Now charged with the hospice care of Amanda, a retired dancer ravaged by cancer, Maud's fervent faith quickly inspires an obsessive conviction that she must save her ward's soul from eternal damnation, whatever the cost. Making her feature film debut, writer-director Rose Glass cannily lures the audience into this disturbed psyche, steadily setting up her veritable diary of a country nurse for an unnerving and ultimately shocking trajectory. And it keeps going, but I'm going to stop. This reads more like a fucking ad for the movie than it does really a plot synopsis. So I'm going to break off of that one and read this one that was submitted by Nick Reganis. Deeply religious.
Well, they did rhyme dancer and cancer, so there's something there.
which is the only reason she made this movie, just so she could find a way to rhyme those two words together, make it make sense. And even that's questionable. This was put by Nick Reganis there. Deeply religious Maud, a tight-lipped live-in nurse with a dark past, takes a job in a humdrum English coastal town to look after Amanda Cole, a once celebrated, now terminally ill former dancer and choreographer. Convinced that she has been sent to sensualist, chain-smoking Amanda with a purpose, ascetic Maud soon becomes obsessed with saving her vulnerable patient from herself, and in the process, lead her to the light. However, is worldly Amanda prepared to receive absolution for her sins? Yeah, I mean, they kind of all come to the same conclusion. That's what this movie is about. Like, this woman is kind of off her rocker and is like really super devout, and she's trying to save this woman's soul, and then in the process, I think pretty much goes nuts, right? That's what the movie's about.
Yes, mental illness and religion do not mix.
Well, no, I think if history has shown us anything, Tiana, you're right. That those two things probably don't end very well, right?
No.
And that's pretty much what plays out here. I mean, you start off like you're introduced to Maud, and she's taking care of this woman who has cancer, and in the meantime, she has these weird orgasmic God moments. That's the best way I can describe it, right? It's like she has Maud describes her praying or whatever, that God speaks to her, and then she kind of just has these weird, like, feel good, almost orgasmic moments, right? Like, it's the only way you can describe it.
Yeah.
It might, maybe, Tiana brought up the being off the rocker a little bit there, and then religion. Also, if you are off your rocker and you're getting into religion, you probably shouldn't add William Blake into the mix. The poet, author William Blake. That book that was given to her right by
Oh yeah.
I can't remember her name, that had cancer that she was watching.
Amanda.
Looking out. Amanda, yeah. Gifted her that William Blake book, and William Blake's, I don't know if anybody's read William Blake, pretty dark, right? And he does use spiritual aspects of Christianity and things, but in a darker way or whatever.
She did that on purpose.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, do you think the way this movie played out, do you think that was probably on purpose? Like, it's almost everything that character does to Maud is kind of needling her, right?
Because remember the scene where they're having lunch or dinner or breakfast? That's what it was, wasn't it? And she ends up having one of those moments right on the couch next to her.
Yeah.
And then
she plays along with it to just egg her on kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden they're having like this weird like mutual orgasm over God. I will say one
gets into that darker thing of, I guess it depends on your perspective, I guess, for back in whatever in the medieval times when it was going on, it wasn't dark. I guess it was to be closer to God through pain, but I know they would use flagellation on themselves, right? Where they're whipping their backs and everything to the point of like drawing blood and everything. But she's kind of goes through that point with the thumbtacks. Remember, she's putting these thumbtacks through this piece of paper, then puts it in her shoe and then walks.
Yeah, what the fuck?
With a thumbtack,
just she's basically walking around with the tack shoes. I'm like, Jesus, man. And that's what she said. That's right, Jesus.
Yeah, there's a name for that. And I don't remember what it's called, but those types of whatever. I don't know if it's Catholic or what it is, but the whole pain, bringing your, being so pious that you bring pain on yourself.
And that was one of the themes. And that did seem to be one of the themes where she kept bringing that up, like, don't waste your pain, right? I think she said that a number of times, and that's clearly one of the themes that they were going for here is that, like, I guess, like, pain is God, pain is religion, something, there's something there, right? Something for smarter folks than me.
But then also, what about the scene do you think of when she's levitating? Of course, that's in her mind. I mean, I would think obviously it would be that, it's kind of up to interpretation, I guess. But I mean, so which A24 and people that A24 movies, they usually pick them up like that.
I think.
But shows her levitating off the ground, basically, right?
I think in the sense of this movie, you come to the conclusion that, like, a lot of what you're seeing is in her mind. You're not really seeing these things, right? Like, in a way.
That's my interpretation of it, but I mean...
I don't think you're really seeing her levitate. I think that's all in her head,
You
right?
feel yourself levitate, and you're seeing her vision, I guess. Right?
I don't think you're really like, for instance, like they show it's like a cockroach or a bug or something that's on the ceiling a couple times.
That's a big ass cockroach, man.
What, I don't know what kind of bug it
That
is.
is a big ass roach. I think it's a palmetto bug.
Well, it's as big as her fucking head. I don't,
and apparently that no, I was looking at the cast. That roach had a name.
Okay, what was the name of the?
Yeah. Nancy? No, I mean like that's I guess it's a pet of.
Wait a minute, you mean like it's a working bug? It's a working bug. It's got like
it's a working bug.
It's got SAG. It's a member of SAG even. I think.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. I didn't know there were working bugs,
dude. Yeah,
it had names.
You know, there's
Well, at least this bug, Nancy, whatever the fuck it was called, it didn't make the Chucky, right? It's not.
Listen, there's. It's true.
Now,
it's true.
Now but going back to the bug, the roach, whatever the fuck that thing was, is that supposed to be God? Like,
it turned into Jesus.
So the one thing, many things they didn't make clear here, but one of the big things they didn't make clear here is what exactly happened to her in her past that brought her to this point.
What happened was, I know what happened. It shows it.
What is something about like she's a nurse, right? And then
she was trying to escape this older lady.
You talking about the chest compression thing?
And she did the chest compressions, and she went right through her ribs. Because she probably wasn't doing it right.
I just kind of figured that was like more of the shit that was in her head. Like she's reliving the moment, and in the like in her dream moment in her head, she went too far and like crushed a woman's. But you're saying that like you think that's actually what happened. Like she gave her chest compressions and then.
Yeah, because of that girl she runs into too, that she used to work with her. See, and they used to hang out. They used to party, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I gathered that like something had happened like that, and it was fucked up, and like this is like, well, this could have happened to anybody, but she kind of takes that on herself, kind of thing. But I didn't know that was actually what what had happened was the chest compression thing.
Yeah, and that's why she turned to God, I guess.
And you see this when she's having sex with a fat guy that she picks up at the bar.
Oh yeah, yep.
Like she's like, they're like mid sex, and then all of a sudden she has a vision of caving someone's chest in, and you're like, what the fuck, and that's kind of her reaction too. But then he just flips her over and finishes off, right?
Yeah, that's his reaction.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's really terrible. Hold on a minute.
And this follows up. By the way, this scene follows up her just jacking a dude off. In the back room of like the bar or something like that. So
I guess that's the kind of she used to do.
I guess like that's her kind of like, I need to get back to normal. I need to get back to the life that I was living, kind of thing. And then you see how pitiful it was, and yeah, God, I miss those days.
She's just so desperate for any sort of companionship.
Yeah,
it could be that too. Like, because she had already been thrown out of the nurse Amanda's, care, being her nurse or whatever, from that whole, what was that blew up because Amanda had that girl coming over and she was probably paying her money to keep her company and to do some lesbo stuff with her.
Yeah,
whatever the case may be.
I don't know
whatever was going on.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with like really any of the people that she brought, like the weird wino dude or whatever that came over at first, and then.
Yeah, I don't know.
She has an episode and that guy leaves, and then then she starts coming around. So it's like,
just rich types, and I would say Hollywood, but it's not Hollywood.
I'm gonna say she probably hung out with, well, except for the girl, but all the people that come over for the party, I'm gonna say they were probably her friends at one point, but then they stopped coming around because of her dying.
Yeah, which I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but you could see where that probably stops the party. Those type of people, that probably would end it. We were talking about the tacks in the shoes thing, right? You think it went hand in hand with her burning herself on the stove? I think it was kind of the same.
All part of this. Like I said, I wish I could remember the name of that term. it's a term that, like I said, really devout religious people, mainly back in the medieval times, but cause themselves pain to feel the spirit of God, or
it's like
to put themselves through some sort of
self-mutilation, or
well, flatulation is the one where they whip themselves from the back with it.
I'm sorry, I always think of flatulence.
Yeah, or when they just shit all over themselves. Which what the fat guy might have been into that.
Yeah,
but the burning her hand on the stove thing keeps coming up because pretty much the rest of the movie her hand is wrapped up, but like she takes the bandage off a couple of times and starts picking at the scab. That's one of those like, oh, stop! What the fuck, It's gross. It's not gory. It's just gross. And it's like, don't do that. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just like the tax, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, eventually, she has a moment where like Amanda's kind of making fun of her at this party, and then she just bitch slaps her. She just smacks the shit out of her, and of course, she gets fired for that. So then, a good portion of the the rest of the movie is just her dealing with being fired, lonely, being fired, not being around her, so she can't save her. So she finally comes to that conclusion after whacking the dude off in the back room. That like, you know what? I'm meant to serve the Lord. She has like that's right when the levitation happens, right? Like this is when she's convinced that like she has to do this. So she kind of sets everything up to go to her house, and I'm guessing at the last little bit, her answer to that is to stab her to death. Now, here now, when she stabs Amanda to death, right? Right before that, Amanda kind of like demons out, right?
Yeah.
Laughs at her and so do you really, here's the question. Did that really happen? Or was
I think that they're trying to, fool the audience like, oh, wait a minute here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, is she not having
so like
vision?
Really?
Is this real?
Yeah, that's the question that you have in that moment is like, all right, did she just turn into a fucking demon and now like Maud is justified in killing her, or is this all in her head? Like, I can't save this woman.
That's what I mean, psychologically, that's what I think it was. She's seeing the vision of her being that way because of her. Because the whole reason her drive for being there is because she thought that Amanda experienced that same spiritual thing when they were, when she was just playing along with it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think her whole thing for coming back there was to save her that way, because she thinks that she really experienced the same thing that she did, this the Holy Spirit being inside of her or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then goes back to, to reconnect and whatever, go through that experience again, I guess. And then that happens. She tells her, no, I was just, whatever, I was fucking with you.
Yeah.
And that's when she starts having the visions, I think, of this, of her. Okay, well then she's just a demon then, or a witch. And kind of like, again, going back to medieval times of like when stuff like this happened, like, well, they're a witch. She's got to be.
Yeah, like I can't save her, so fuck her, kind of thing. She can't be saved. She's a witch. Stab, stab, stab. And that's kind of backed up with how the movie ends, I think, in a way, because like, so essentially, like she kind of has like, all right, well, it's time to sacrifice myself, right? Like she wraps a sheet around herself, kind of like a robe. Then she walks down to the beach with a grocery bag that's got a bottle of acetone in it, and pours it all over her head and flicks the lighter. And, there's allusion also to that throughout the movie with her flicking that lighter and stuff all the time, right? And I think you see that bottle of acetone sitting around for a while too, like throughout the movie. So they're foreshadowing and alluding to this, something's going to happen here. And then eventually, she goes to the beach and lights herself on fire, but she has a vision of wings, like angels' wings coming out of her back. And she's floating, in the air, and everybody that's on the beach falls to their knees, like, oh, praise Saint Maud, right? And then just for a split second there, right before the credits hit, you see her burning and screaming. Credits. So that's where I think, like, Smoke, you were, kind of to both points. It's like, I think in her head, this is what's going on, but in reality, nah, she just burned herself.
Yeah, yeah, they give you that little nod right there. Like a lot of A24 movies or whatever you want to call elevated horror, right? That's the term. Is they don't give you that a lot of times. They'll just leave it up to you. Okay, this may or may not have happened, or it might be in their head, or it might be actual supernatural stuff going on. But yeah, that last scene, I think it shows its hand, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so too.
It is in her head.
That she just fucking cracked and then just stood out there and went nuts and burned herself alive for no reason. But in her mind,
that's actually another religious thing. That burning yourself is, I think it's called immolation, isn't it? Where you burn yourself for a religious purposes or whatever. I don't know if you've seen the stories in the news or on like, I don't know if it's on Faces of Death or whatever, but I remember a Buddhist monk doing that.
I was about to say
himself.
that. Yeah, I've the famous monk burning. That's happened quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's was her doing. I don't know about how many Christians have done that necessarily, or if it's a part of some of that immolation thing is within, Christian doctrine somewhere in the medieval times too, or whatever. I don't know. But that's what I got from that she's, all right, this is her final, whatever. I'm going to ascend to heaven. She's got the wings and everything. I'm ascending. I'm going to immolate, and that's it.
I'm going to rise to heaven like the phoenix. And then you just get that. Yeah. You get that less than, what, good Lord, 2, 3, 4 seconds of, she's burning credits.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'm sorry. What, Tiana?
I consider this movie in the category of descending into madness.
Descending and then falling off on a cliff of madness. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're watching somebody go nuts. Like she clearly. I think my read on it was she clearly just couldn't deal with what happened, and just fucking slowly lost her mind. And that's what you see play out here is the last moments of her trying to find her life before that. And she just can't, and then doesn't know how to deal with that, and just says "fuck it," Well, there we go. That's Saint Maud. I think it's an interesting pull, Tiana. Interesting choice for you, and interesting once again to start the year off. Our first movie that we've talked about here in 2024. So, Tiana, you nominated it, so we'll let you go first with your final thoughts and your star rating on it.
My final thoughts are: I know this is a slow burn, but it really punches you in the chest at the end.
It caves in your chest.
Yeah. But I love the choreography, the actresses, the music. That score is, wow. That's really good. And I just love the whole, even though it was set in modern time, it still had that 70s feel to it.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Professor, what do you say?
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was fun. It's not my favorite A24 distributed movie. The hour and 28 some odd minute, whatever it was, runtime tightened it up a little bit. One thing I think is, this movie, I think women will connect with this movie more so than men, maybe, because first of all, most of the people in the movie are women. Well, the men that they show in the movie, let's just say, are less than desirable types, right? The guy just waiting to get jacked off in the bar, the other guy in the bar.
Well, that's but that's kind of realistic, right? That's all of us. We're just waiting around to get jacked off. That's kind of.
But yeah, I think it's probably more of a connection for women to this movie than in a way that I don't know if y'all saw that movie Men that came out last year. I think it was it?
Yeah, that was 2022.
That was another A24 movie too, and that one probably even more so. That was really on the nose as far as being sort of made for women, even in the title, men being like a play on, all men being whatever, animals or toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think it's I enjoyed it, but I'm sure I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Tiana did. But I'd give it 2 3/4 stars.
I'm pretty close to where you are. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I think it's pretty impressive for Rose Glass's feature film debut. It's very slow until some stuff finally starts to happen. And even then, when stuff does start to happen, you kind of question, like, what the fuck am I, what is this? But I think it's well done. It's well written. And I will say the cinematography, I mentioned what was it? Ben Fordsman was the director of photography. I think this thing looks good. It's well shot, well put together. You just like to see a little bit more of something happen. I don't know exactly what it was missing, but it's slow. But like you said, at least it had a pretty tight runtime, so it didn't overstay its welcome too much. You know, if you felt this was slow at 1:24, what if this was 2:24? Oh my God! You know, like no, that's enough. Here, I'll help you kill her, demon. But I think there was enough there to see to see what Rose Glass is capable of to start with. I'd like to see more. Just not quite this, you know what I mean? Like I need some more juice with her next one, so we'll wait and see there. Donnie, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, so I've stayed silent quite a bit. Yeah, slow burns are not my favorite. To me, just because a movie has some sort of deviant or fucked up parts to it, it doesn't make it a good movie. The defining moment that basically synonymized my experience with it was the scene kind of early on where she takes about 12 minutes to climb half a flight of stairs. This was particularly it was a chore to watch.
They had to pad the runtime, so you had to see every step.
Jesus, yeah, but as far as my rating goes, there are some. Here's some of the same movies I've actually given this rating to. I gave the same rating to The Curse of La Llorona, Halloween Ends, and Hellraiser Inferno. But I gave a higher rating to Leprechaun in the Hood. So my rating is, I just didn't enjoy it. I'd rather read a book. But no, my rating is star and a quarter. Just not a fan of this one at all. It's too slow.
Star and a quarter.
Yeah. I will say my favorite part was the end. The end.
You mean the credits or just like the very end where she's burning and all that?
I would say probably the last 2 seconds before the credits. Yeah, it's just like, thank God we'll never see her again. Unless there's a prequel, which I hope Rose Glass doesn't do, and I will be absent because I know that we will do that eventually.
Yeah, we will. And
if
it comes
happens.
out, I believe, we talked about the most anticipated of 2024. It's coming out this year. It's called St. Maud 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold.
Oh, yeah. Weekend at St. Maud's.
Yeah, you'll be there. That's where she ascends like a phoenix into heaven, and then there's two guys holding her up, making sure that she's still alive.
St. Maud, welcome to the barbecue or something like that.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, I'd rather read a book.
So we don't have Will's 2 cents, but you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's probably closer to Donnie's side of the ledger than he would be on the other side. But hey, you never know. But for now, we sit on a consensus total of 2.5 stars out of 5. So, mid-tier, we would recommend you at least check it out, except Donnie wouldn't recommend it. But overall, I think we all recommend you should check it out and come to those conclusions yourself. But we always say that. All right, so luckily for Donnie, we're not quite done with St. Maud just yet.
Connections from the crypt.
You may not have liked the movie that much, but you got to give us some good connections. So
yeah, I do. Something. So basically with Crypt Connections, what we do here is we connect the current movie episode by any cast or crew connections to past Spook Show episodes. So for St. Maud, this cast of weirdos had absolutely no previous connections to any of our past Spook Shows. But there were a couple of crew connections. So we've got special effects crew. I think it was a special effects supervisor, Scott McIntyre, who was actually part of the effects crew for a much better movie, Shaun of the Dead from 2004. That's back when I think we did. I don't know. It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was about roughly about a year ago, I think, when we did that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we also had a few of the stunt crew for Independence Day when we covered that back in Summer Disaster.
Yep, that was episode 167, and episode 141, by the way, was Shaun of the Dead. Well, Will's not here to give us the official kill count, but just off the top of our heads, what would it be? 2?
Add me to that. Yeah. This movie killed me.
Okay, that's 3, maybe 4. But we do have. Let's talk about the kill reel.
Highlight kill.
Okay, so you only got 2, right? Maybe 3 if you count the chest cave-in brief flashback, but I'm not going to count that. So really, you've got 2 here, Amanda and Maud. I'm going to go with Maud burning herself, ascending to the heavens, and then for 2 seconds you see her burning and screaming. I'm going to say that's probably the highlight. Not necessarily a kill, it's more of a death, but I guess when you do it to yourself. But I'm going to call that the highlight kill. So, Smoke?
Gore score.
Yeah, it's rated R, but it's not necessarily rated R for the gore.
No.
Probably more for the sexual situations and some other things and whatnot going on in the movie. But because if you think about the gore in the movie, there's the stabbing of Amanda, a little bit of gore there. There's the thumbtack scene, but that's more cringe-inducing than gory because you don't actually see any blood or any, you see her stabbing these thumbtacks through this piece of cardboard or whatever, and then she puts the cardboard in the shoe and then promptly slams her foot down inside the shoe and then walks around for about 5 minutes or whatever of the movie. Various places, or whatever, with these thumbtacks in her.
Yeah, just like the scab, picking at the scab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
picking at the scab. Yeah, that's a little nasty, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily gory, but it's more like those kind of cringe-inducing moments that make you just wince, right? So, really, I guess just you had the chest cave-in thing, but for a fraction of a second that you see that. Mainly just that stabbing of Amanda. So, for those, I guess I'll have to, kind of a 5. If there's a little bit of violence in a movie, a 5 is generally probably going to be, unless there's just none, right? It's kind of, I don't know how many movies I've given a 5 to, but that's my general rule of thumb is if it's got some violence in it, a little bit of gore, you probably at least got to give it up that much, unless there's just 0 amount in it.
Yeah.
Not horror movie or whatever, it's a PG movie or whatever. So yeah, I'll go with a 5 just for the wincing induced moments of the thumbtacks and the scabs and the brief gore of the stabbing and the chest compression, chest caving in scene or whatever. So,
well, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for Saint Maud. Tiana, I think it was an interesting choice, although a little divisive amongst us, but I still think it was a one that we needed to get around to. Interesting conversation type of movie, if nothing else. So onward.
Picked it just to fuck with Donnie.
Say what?
I said I picked it just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's always interesting. Usually.
Well, that is, she's getting in the spirit of things, Donnie. That is kind of half of what the whole purpose of this podcast is, just to fuck with you, right? So.
Figures.
Yep. She's just doing what she's supposed to do. But onward and upward, so to speak. Next week, like we teased off the top, we have our next cannon fodder. So we spun the big wheel. We got too many wheels these days, it seems like, and we're at the mercy of these wheels. So sometimes it lands on Emmanuel 4. Sometimes it lands on The Frog Prince. But thank God this time it finally gave us another good cannon flick because it's been a minute. It's been since Ninja 3, The Domination, that we've watched something quite on the level of this. So next week we're going to be watching Braddock Missing in Action Part 3. We need a little bit of Chuck Norris to cleanse the palate after St. Maud. On IMDb, the synopsis for it is Braddock mounts a one-man assault to free his wife and son who are still being held in a Vietnam prison camp. So yeah, that's pretty much what you've come to expect from that series by this point, by the time the third one came around. So I'm looking for, I think we did do the first Missing in Action already, right? But we haven't done the second one. Yeah. So
it's one of our top episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, so we're going from 1 to 3 here. We're skipping in between, but I'm sure eventually we'll get around to it. But I'm just happy that the Cannon wheel landed on something other than another Emmanuel or one of the Cannon kid story movies or whatever the hell that I forget what the title of that thing was. So hopefully we have Cannon film guide author Austin Trunick on to give us the Cannon Chronicles that he does usually every time we have an episode. So hopefully we'll have him on for that. And 2024 off to a roaring start. So for Will, who couldn't be with us, Donnie, Tiana, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All American Spook Show, and we'll talk to you next week for our latest Cannon fodder.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.